Before Thanksgiving. We have a quorum here, and School Board Member Mitchell, will you please do the Pledge of Allegiance for us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. May I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, please raise your hand in the affirmative to approve the adoption of the agenda. All right, thank you. It is all of us. All right, next item of business is awards and recognitions, and I will turn that over to Dr. Battle.
Thank you much. Thank you so much, Chair Elrod, and good evening, board members. Tonight, we're honoring the athletic program at one of our high schools for a very special award they've won. Antioch High School won the A.F. Bridges Sportsmanship Award in TSSAA Class AAA for the Middle Tennessee Division for the 2021-22 school year. Let's give them a round of applause. So here's what you need to know about this award. The A.F. Bridges Award is given and named in honor of the TSSAA's first executive secretary. Under Mr. Bridges' leadership, high school athletics in Tennessee reached levels of excellence and competence that earn respect across the nation. This award is given to schools that had no reported unsportsmanlike conduct incidents during the previous school year and displayed impeccable sportsmanship at their games. As the TSSAA puts it, the award recognizes member schools that have made the effort to remind their athletic family that there is a particular code of conduct, a particular level of expected behavior, and a way to act that is proper if one wishes to be part of an athletic contest, regardless of how they participate. This is an amazing honor that reflects beautifully on the character and values of Antioch student athletes, coaches, and everyone else involved in the program, both individually and collectively. So it's time to give a huge roar to the Bears of Antioch and to Principal Clarissa Zellers, Assistant Principal William Kirby, Athletics Director Taylor Goins, and every coach, student athlete, manager, cheerleader, and everyone else involved in Antioch athletics for creating, instilling, and maintaining such a strong culture of sportsmanship. Again, thank you, Assistant Principal Kirby, Athletic Director Goins, and anyone else from Antioch who's here with us tonight. Please come on up to be recognized and take a photo with us, including Board Member Mays. So thank you again to everyone for Antioch for representing us so well, and congratulations on this tremendous honor.
Thanks for coming out.
Thank you. All right. 1, 2.
Congratulations.
You know what, I always say the same thing.
Thank you so much.
Now, I bet if we had 2 more students, if we did.
All right, Board Chair, that will conclude our awards and recognitions. I'll turn it back over to you.
All right, thank you so much. Congratulations to the Antioch Bears. That's you should be very proud of that and the culture that you have at your school. Thank you so much for being here tonight as well.
I have another one.
One moment, please. Okay.
Okay, we're going to do that now. Okay, yes, I'm with you. All right. right, so some other recognitions and celebrations for us. So last week, we got some wonderful news for all of our high school athletic programs. Through a partnership with Mayor John Cooper, Metro Government, the Tennessee Titans, and the Fans Incorporated, the district will receive $15 million to install artificial turf fields at 15 of our schools. This will mean beautiful new surfaces for our student athletes to practice and play on our football, for football, girls and boys soccer, flag football, all of our other sports, and our marching bands will enjoy them as well. This is something we've wanted to do for a long time, and we're finally on the way to making it happen. I appreciate everyone from Team MNPS who has pushed and advocated for the importance of meeting this need, and I'm grateful to the Titans, Mayor Cooper, the fans, for providing the resources to make it possible. Now, I also want to spend a little extra time on the Titans because they have made a huge commitment to our schools through our one community agreement. The Titans will soon become a partner of the Academies of Nashville, giving our high school students exposure to careers in sports through opportunities at Nissan Stadium. The Titans will also support our literacy programs, add our high schools to their girls flag football league next year, increase their efforts to promote MNPS athletics, and continue sponsoring our celebration of schools as they did with Saturday's event at Nissan Stadium. So a huge thank you to the Titans organization for their great support and partnership to increase opportunities for our students and improve the experience of all of our students and also our student athletes. Now, speaking of celebration of schools, what a day we had on Saturday. So once the band started playing and the students and staff from each school started joyfully marching and dancing and chanting and cheering, we knew we were in for a treat. Students of every age from every part of Nashville and Davidson County showed their school spirit for all to see. And parents, siblings, other family members, and friends were cheering them on for the entire length of the parade route outside the stadium. We even had a little battle of the bands between Whites Creek and Stratford, who, by the way, those directors happen to be brothers. So that was very exciting for everyone to experience. Then, once we got inside for the school fair, we had a huge crowd of families walking through the concourse, stopping by our school's tables, interacting with principals and other staff, learning about their options and our new Family University program. I couldn't be happier about the way everything turned out. So thank you so much to everyone who had a hand in planning this huge event, which I know wasn't easy. You keep reminding me it wasn't easy, but we pulled it off. So thanks again to the Titans for hosting us, and thank you to all of our school staff, our parents, our students, this school board. Thank you for showing up and supporting this event for Saturday and to celebrate our schools and show the community what we're all about. So now, at this time, Chair Rod, that will conclude our awards and recognitions. And again, just my sincere thanks to everyone who played any role in the three areas that we're celebrating this evening.
Thank you so much. I appreciate a lot of my colleagues being there on Saturday. It was a great time, and so we appreciate all the work that was done internally, not only by our schools, but also our staff, and it was really well noticed and very, very fun. Next, we're going to go over our governance issues. We have adopted the agenda. Do I have anybody that needs to pull anything off, or can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, which would be actions A1, A through D?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right. Has been first and seconded. Do we have any discussion?
Yes. So I would just like to go on record as saying I'd like to get some back-end feedback on these particular contracts. We are submitting approval for several different contracts that have oversight with various departments. So I know that at some point you will have a report back to this board on how they are performing, but I'd like to go on record as saying that I'd like to see some sort of back-end performance measurements for these contracts. As we start to approve these, we want to make sure that we're being fiscally responsible. So I know that at some point you will, again, your departments will present to this board on what the outcomes of these contracts are, but I just wanted to make sure that I put that out there so that we could get some feedback on that on the back end.
Thank you for that, Ms. Mays. So a part of the contracting process, we include progress monitoring metrics for all of our, as a part of our process when we review.
I don't think we pulled it from the consent to start the discussion.
So I will stop there then, but it is a part of our process that we bake in some of the progress monitoring and performance as expected for these agreements. Thank you.
Okay. Let's have
Board Chair, I believe that we discussed approving the agenda already, so this may be the approval of the consent agenda?
Yes, the consent agenda.
All right.
Yes,
Thank you.
actions 1A through D.
Thank you.
Yes. All right, it has been first and seconded. All in favor, please raise your hand. All right, it is unanimous. Thank you so much. All right, we will move on to our second item underneath our governance issues and actions, which is our charter school renewals.
So at this time, I would like to invite Director Sharika Roby-Grant to the podium to walk us through our 4 charter school renewals.
Good evening. My name is Sharika Roby-Grant, Director of Charter Schools for Metro Nashville Public Schools. Madam Chair, members of the board, and Director Battle, thank you for the opportunity to share the Charter Office Review Team's findings on 4 charter renewal applications. Charter renewal application review team's findings have been provided to each of the schools and for board members in the board report. This evening, I will present some of the findings for the following charter renewal applications: Intrepid Prep, Purpose Prep, KIPP Nashville College Prep Middle School, and Nashville Classical. We are governed by Tennessee Code Annotated 49-13-121, and it sets forth the procedures by which a charter school may renew its charter agreement with its authorizer. A charter school must submit a renewal application to its authorizer no later than April 1st of the year prior to the year in which its charter agreement expires. Please note that each charter application reviewed tonight is set to expire June 30th, 2023. The board will discuss and vote on 4 charter renewal application requests. Upon your review and discussion, the board options are as follows: approve or deny the renewal applications. If denied, a charter school has the option to appeal the decision. To set a little bit of context for tonight's presentation, I'd like to provide a little background on MNPS Office of Charter Schools and the renewal application process. Our office acts as the liaison for 26 charter schools in Metro Nashville schools. This office leads the authorization process and coordinates internal and external experts to review each application. Each of the sections within the renewal application were reviewed and rated by review team members utilizing the following rubric standards provided by the Tennessee Department of Education. Meets the standard. The record includes specific and accurate evidence that the school generally demonstrated success in meeting and upholding the terms of the charter agreement. partially meets the standard. The record meets the criteria in some aspects, but lacks sufficient evidence that the charter school is meeting the terms of the charter agreement in one or more areas, and does not meet the standard. The record provides evidence that the charter school committed a violation of its charter agreement or failed to meet generally accepted standards of fiscal management. The renewal application includes the following categories: academic success, operational stability, financial health, and future planning. Each review team member reviews sections best aligned to his or her area of expertise. The review and rating of the renewal applications consisted of a variety of members from multiple MNPS departments that included financial reporting and budgeting, English learners, research assessment and evaluation, operations, an external consultant, the Division of Schools and Teaching and Learning, and exceptional education. We begin this evening with Intrepid Prep, a 512 charter school with an enrollment cap of 864 students located in the southeast area of Davidson County. I will highlight a few of the review team's evidence findings listed within the board report and included on the chart. In academic success, the school reported that 90% of the graduating class entered college. In addition, evidence of a professional development plan that utilizes protocols to review student data was reported by the school. However, the application lacks sufficient evidence of evidence-based interventions. In operational stability, the school reported 40% of new applications each year were from direct referrals from current families. In addition, the school reported a staff retention rate average of 78%. And lastly, the school reported examples of multiple ways to involve and communicate with the community and families. In financial health, the school reported evidence that fiscal health has been steady with no material findings from auditors. Additionally, the school reported generally accepted accounting principles in their accounting procedures. And lastly, the committee noted a consistent low debt-to-asset ratio. In future planning, the application goals included measurable outcomes. The review team did note the school should consider specific goals for subgroups and alignment with RTI framework and dyslexia-specific screening. After a thorough review of the renewal application, the review team rated the overall ratings for Intrepid Prep renewal application as follows: meets or exceeds standard in academic success, meets or exceeds standard in operational stability, meets or exceeds standard in financial health, and meets or exceeds standard in future planning. I will turn it over to the board for the discussion and vote for the renewal application for Intrepid Prep.
Thank you so much. Colleagues, we will ask our questions after we have a motion, of course. We will have our motion, we'll ask our questions so we know in advance. I'm going to ask that everybody ask their questions as a round, if you will, and that we don't have more than 2 rounds since we have 4 charter schools that we're going to be discussing this evening. So to try to keep that in mind as you're preparing your thoughts and reviewing your materials. So do I have a motion on Intrepid?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Hayes?
So I have a question regarding any type of visits to the schools. So in this particular application, or in any renewal applications, are any of the committee members actually visiting the schools to see what is going on site, to get a feel for?
Thank you, Director Grant.
For this process in the renewal application, we did not. The charter office does conduct our own on-site visits, and that documentation was uploaded to the supporting documentation for review members to utilize with over the charter term. So there were multiple documents that were on-site visits and documentation that was collected during those on-site visits that review members were able to review and access as they were reading and rating the application.
Okay, so that information is utilized to determine the status of the schools.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
So I also have a question that's sort of, I think, more general to how this process occurs. There are things reported in here, for example, on academic success, but what information is reviewed by the Charter Review Committee on academic success? As you all are doing those reviews, what evidence is included in there? I know this is just a selection.
Yes, there are a variety of documents such as 10 ready scores, TVOS scores. The charter office does complete on-site visits throughout the years, and so the results of the data that was included within those on-site visits were part of the review process for the renewals. So when you're looking at renewals, you're looking at the whole term, and so a variety of documentation was provided to review members. This also included the academic performance framework, which is a rating of scores that's provided in academic, financial, and organizational each year. And so review members were able to see from 2013 on up to now different ratings that those schools were able to score in each of those categories.
And there was one sort of note, as it were, in the on the academic portion around evidence-based interventions. How is that given back to the school as information generally, and what is required of them, either through this renewal process or otherwise?
So our team, the charter office team, will take the results for the evidence findings from these particular schools, and we have on-site visits. We just completed a round of on-site visits during the milestone meetings where we reviewed the school improvement plan for each of our charter schools, and we're scheduled in the spring to have on-site visits where there are specific questions related to academic and non-academic data, and we will follow up with the results for our renewals that just went through this cycle with some of those concerns that the review committee had.
And I just, one more sort of, I think this is more a comment. It would be really helpful in these documents that we receive if, I mean, for me in particular, I would love to see sort of annual TCAP and TVOS data included specifically in what we see relative to at least academics, or at least some summary statement about, you know, met or exceeded AMOs or something that, you know, that we sort of look at for district schools to see here for charter schools as well.
We'll review that it is included in the reports for each school, but we can circle back to see if there's another way in which that can be communicated. I think what is a little bit different from some of the more recent applications that have come before you is that this is a 10-year renewal process, which we do have to take into account the entire 10-year as opposed to a new startup or an amended application. But we'll take a look at that and see if there's opportunities to strengthen that language and that information for your review.
Thank you. To follow up with Mrs. O'Hara-Block, in the finding summary, it indicated lack of evidence for evidence-based intervention, as well as they need to consider specific goals for subgroups and alignment with RTI framework and dyslexia, the new dyslexia screening process. First question is, do they have this, do they create this protocol in place prior to coming up to this 10-year review? So do they have that in place? Once you have found that, do you report that back to the charter management organization? And do they provide some type of framework included in their school improvement plan or anything like that, so that we can see that that is something that they will be strongly working on?
Yes, so each charter school, along with traditional schools, are required to complete a school improvement plan. That is a living document which is updated based on the latest needs of the school. And so our office will follow up with our specific schools that just completed the renewal process, and the areas of a concern that were noted within the renewal will need to be reflected in the school improvement plan, so there can be follow-up from the school as well as our office.
Okay, so just to comment on that, what I would like to see is that we have that plan in place prior to the 10-year renewal so that we can ensure that schools are working on this plan over the next 10 years and there's a solid plan in place. I think reviewing that after we've already approved the 10-year charter is kind of redundant because we can't take it back at that point.
I got you.
And if those targeted areas are not focused on ensuring that they happen prior to, would be great.
Okay.
Any additional comments? Ms. Tyler?
Okay, so I had looked up their original charter application 10 years ago, and they had some measures that they had put in place for themselves. One of their absolute measures, the very first one, said that at least 75% of all students who have attended the school for 2 or more years score in the proficient or advanced category in reading language arts on the TCAP, and at least 85% of all students score proficient or advanced in reading language arts after their 3rd year, and at least 90% after their 4th year. Do we have the data on whether or not they've achieved that?
I will need to verify those specific measures that you just identified. I don't want to.
Yeah, because I tried to look it up. The state report card is down right now
Okay.
and has been since we got the agenda. So I haven't been able to look it up. Just looking at the raw data, what I could find, I could only find 2 things for Intrepid. One was in the 3 to 5 in math for the super subgroup, which doesn't really help. But it's only 88.1% met or exceeded expectations in math in their super subgroup for grades 3 through 5. And for all students 6 through 8, 22% met or exceeded the standards. And that seems to be really far from the 75% that they had set for themselves as the absolute measure. And my understanding is that charter schools are supposed to be held to an extremely high bar to prove that they are going to do the type of uplifting, moving these students through, helping them excel, all the things. It's supposed to be above and beyond. That's their claim. Their claim is that they need to open because they're going to do better than what you could get at your zone school. And so for them to say that their absolute measure, their very first one, is that at least 75% of those students for 2 or more years are in the proficient or advanced. And what I could find says it's only 22%. And that just seems to be a really large discrepancy. And so it makes me wonder, are they meeting what a charter school is set out to do? Are they meeting what they themselves set out to do? Another, when they were just looking at their growth measure from their original application, said the student performance in reading as measured by the TCAP will on average demonstrate growth in proficiency equal or greater to that of state growth targets. I have not been able to find proof of that. Comparative measures, all students at Intrepid College Prep who have attended the school for 2 or more years on average attain a rate of proficiency at least 5% higher than the surrounding district average as measured by the TCAP. And again, I can't tease out, obviously, who has been there for 2 or more years, but just looking at our district average and what they're doing, they're not 5% higher, which is their own claim for what they're going to do to help this community. And then a comparative measure is each year the percent of all tested students who are enrolled in at least their 2nd year
and performing at advanced proficient levels on the state reading and writing is greater than that of all students in the same tested grades in the local school district. And again, I would think that if we are looking to see if this is going to be a good fit for the next 10 years, that we should at the very basic level see if they achieved what they set out to do 10 years ago.
Thank you. I would like to add, I guess, to that comment and to my colleague, Dr. Berthina Namba McKinney, I have looked at their enrollment information in our open data portal, and I'm concerned that there's only 20% economically disadvantaged and only 9% student with disability population, which is significantly less than our general population at MNPS. I know that the state does not have that within the rubric, and there's not much that we can say about that within our meets to exceeds expectations. But within our own policies for MNPS, we do state that our charter schools are supposed to meet a need that we don't have, or fulfill a need, that we cannot fulfill through our own neighborhood or existing schools. So my concern is that they're not meeting the general population that we have, nor does it seem like they're fitting the need for any specific populations that we're maybe not fitting or meeting ourselves. That seems to also be true by them not meeting their original goals. And there's not anything that shows that there is something exceptional or where they exceed standards. For example, like within the academics, it states that there's 94% of their students go to college. Us as a board, we have all said repeatedly that college acceptance is not how we're really going to fully measure a student, because there's so many other EPSOs and other opportunities that we want to measure. I do have some really serious concerns about their low population of students with disabilities and an ongoing lack of professional development there. It says that they noted some professional development to be included about English learners and exceptional education strategies, but there's no data or details on what those are. And my concern is if we approve this for a 10-year contract and there's not additional information there, that's just concerning, especially because they've already been in existence for 10 years, and I would frankly think that already exists. I know, again, that the state, within our rubric and our other materials that we're supposed to review and look at, there's no way for us to include within our materials, of course, about costs and the ongoing fiscal responsibilities that we have as a school system. But it is our responsibility as elected officials and, of course, the keeper of our budget dollars and the strategic vision that we're supposed to have for those. I just want to make sure that we're aware of our ongoing increased fixed costs that we have with charter schools. Bless you. And are also inflated and continuously inflating per pupil that we have because of our declined enrollment. And so it is concerning to me to vote on a 10-year contract, which would equal $127 million, or 127.3, for something that doesn't seem to meet a special need that we can't fit in other schools. They are seemingly not seats that are absolutely needed in that area, as we have grown in that area and have some other schools being built or have been built. And I don't see exceptional, just meets, but I know that that's not fleshed out per se inside of the paperwork. So those are my concerns within this discussion. Do we have any others for our second round?
Yes.
Okay.
So one of the reasons that I asked earlier about site visits is because I think it's extremely imperative, especially when we're talking about children, to make sure that we have eyes on what is actually happening. I was at this school last week. I know exactly what the need is in our community, and this school is needed in our community. Right now, the state just approved 3 additional charter schools to be built or to set up shop in Southeast Nashville. And I can tell you with a high level of assurance, even with the opening of those 3 additional schools, we will have a need for more seats in Southeast Nashville. So I don't have a doubt at all that this school is needed. And I see the student population that is being served, and I have talked to several of the parents who have children in that facility, and they are quite happy and excited about this particular facility. So I have said before and it's not been popular. Unfortunately, what's happened is that we have created a situation where we are pitting our traditional public schools against charter schools, and that's not okay because we're talking about children. And so what I've said in previous years is that, for me, the importance is on academic success and where our children sit. If they are receiving the best quality education they can receive, we need to figure out a way to make sure that continues to happen. So what I saw in this particular school is academic excellence. These children were doing an exceptional job. Now, I agree we need to focus a little bit more on the initial expectations that were set by the school to make sure that they are meeting those goals. But by no means do we need to indicate that this school is not, I guess, for lack of a better word, thriving because the seats are not needed. The seats are absolutely needed in Southeast Nashville. So I want to be clear that that is not one of the issues that is being presented to this Board of Education. We absolutely are, and I think Dr. Battle can probably present numbers to prove the case that Southeast Nashville, most of the schools, if not all of them, are either at or overutilized in our area. So I just wanted to make sure that that was clear.
Anything else? I guess in direct response to that, I know that we have some other schools that are being built because of the need for seats. My concern is that we're not putting those in jeopardy. I know the middle school that we had originally planned for the Southeast area was really exciting because absolutely needed in Southeast Nashville, both in your district and in mine, as it was going to relieve the overpopulation in both of our districts, though it was located in yours. But because of the continued charter growth in that area, that middle school is now potentially not going to be built because of the continued growth that's outside of our own school system. So my concern is that we are, in essence, hurting ourselves by removing enrollment that we need for our other schools to continue to provide the services that we have for our per pupil cost, and then also for the seats that were already are there. If there's going to be additional schools being opened, we can't continue to do that with the finite number of students that we have. So that's my concern with seats. I do understand that Southeast Nashville, because I represent a fair part of Southeast Nashville, continues to grow and will continue to grow as it's a great area to live in, and also it is the obvious place to move for a lot of families. And so I understand that there's an increased need, and that's why we've had some increased conversations with Reimagined Ed of pushing some of those additional classrooms back into those areas and building some new schools. So I understand that those seats are needed. I just don't want to put our current capital projects in jeopardy for other schools, like we've done in the past, because that unfortunately has happened in that middle school example. So that's that concern. Beyond that, I understand that there are families happy there. I'm glad that they are. Again, my overall feeling with all charter schools is if you are going to have an extreme amount of flexibility and first access to funds and other resources, that we should have an exceptional return on investment. And an exceptional return on investment is not less than 40%. That's not exceptional. And so that's my concern, is that we have students that are happy there, but are they getting a exceptional education like they're supposed to be from the original creation of what charter schools are supposed to be and what they're being promised? And so I want to make sure that we're doing our due diligence to not only make sure fiscally we're doing the right thing, but also for what we're supposed to be doing for the promises that we're giving to these students, both within our neighborhood, we'll say public schools, and then also the charter schools and what they are giving to students or not giving to students. All right. We have a motion to approve, and it's been seconded. See that there's no further discussion. If you will please raise your hand for approval. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It is approved. So sorry. And if you vote in, and to not approve, please raise your hand. I apologize, Cameo. Thank you. There's 3 of us. Thank you. All right. So we will move on from Intrepid to, sorry, I have all the materials. Purpose Broader. Thank you so much.
Next, we will present the renewal application findings for Purpose Prep, a K-5 charter school with an enrollment cap of 450 students located in the northwest area of Davidson County. I will highlight a few of the review team's evidence findings listed within the board report and included on the chart. In academic success, the school reported evidence related to their use of data and structures for support of teachers and students. Additionally, the school reported increased levels of student growth and proficiency across all grade levels and content areas for multiple years. However, the application did lack evidence of additional information regarding intervention in reading and math for students with a disability. In operational stability, attendance data from the school reported the school operating at or near capacity with an average daily attendance of 98.6%. Additionally, the school internally administered survey reported over 90% of parents indicated satisfied or very satisfied with the quality of instruction and quality of teachers. And lastly, the charter school reported a staff retention rate of 70%. In financial health, the school provided financial audits with no findings. Additionally, the school reported they raised foundation grants via individual donors and school events to close the revenue gap. The renewal application did not show any material financial issues, and the school reported and indicated $3.1 million of cash on hand with $1.1 million of current liabilities. In future planning, Purpose Prep's plans for goal achievement are rigorous, measurable, and attainable. Additionally, there are plans to equip kindergarten through 5th grade classrooms with 2 full-time teachers, resulting in a 15-to-1 ratio. Lastly, Purpose Prep plans to continue to build upon training pipelines that would allow them to onboard diverse staff members. After a thorough review of the renewal application, the review team rated the overall ratings for Purpose Prep renewal application as follows: meets or exceeds the standard in academic success, meets or exceeds standard in operational stability, meets or exceeds standard in financial health, and meets or exceeds standard in future planning. I will turn it over to the board for the discussion and vote for the renewal application for Purpose Prep.
Thank you. All right, do we have a motion for Purpose Prep?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, any discussion? So sorry, go ahead. We'll go ahead.
No, you got it. Mine is more general.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Thank you again. So my question or concern comes back to the lack of evidence for of additional information regarding intervention in reading and mathematics for students with disabilities. That is a big topic and a big concern across our schools, is making sure that we have the correct intervention and support systems for our students with disabilities. And again, I would like to see prior to 10-year renewals or in general, what type of plan our schools have in place to address that over the next 10 years, and what do those outcomes look like. That is an area that I'm hearing constant concern about from parents as well as teachers, with the lack of structure in place to address students with disabilities. So if we could see something like that. Thank you.
Yes.
My, I guess, statement was more in general, or question for you, both Dr. Battle and Chair Elrod. With this new board, it might be helpful for us to level set with our new director of the Office of Charter Schools, right? Yes. So it might be helpful for us to revisit that so that we can level set as a group, but also whatever questions we're having about the process that we know the state controls, this could be a nice time to go ahead and begin either the lobbying process or having conversations with the legislature about what a process looks like, or whatever other questions we're having that we might want documented for future processes, because we are getting to a point where we're going to be having a bunch of renewals back, year after year for the next few years. So I know it's too late because you likely already have an agenda for this coming retreat, but maybe for one in the new year. Yeah. I'll leave it.
Anything else? Any other discussion? Okay, Ms. Tyler?
Yeah, and again, I've gone back to the original application that they put in and the goals that they set for themselves, and reminding ourselves that we are expected to hold these schools to the highest possible standard, because that's why they exist, to bring up. And so we want to make sure that's happening. So several things, and it seems like you don't necessarily have this data, but schools who have attended the school for 2 or more years on average attain proficiency 15% higher than the surrounding district average as measured by TCAP. Do we know that?
I need to verify.
Again, it's about just making sure that if they're going to be open for another 10 years and we expect them to maintain or do better than, that they first proved that they could do it by meeting the first 10 years goals and growth. And then, so, same thing with math. The students who have attended the school for 2 or more years on average attain proficiency 15% higher than the surrounding average as measured by TCAP. And then, again, also the absolute one, not just the comparative, but 90% of all students who have attended the school for 2 or more years score proficient or advanced in math on TCAP, 90%. And again, back in ELA, same level set, 90% of all students who have attended the school for 2 or more years score proficient or advanced in reading language arts on TCAP. And of course, the same for science and the same for social studies as I'm looking through at their direct. So this is the kind of information that to me makes the most difference in whether or not this school is meeting what it set out to do. Is it actually helping that community get to not just a little bit of a higher standard, or not just the same thing in a different school, but a much elevated higher standard that is verifiable, and that they set themselves. And from what I've looked at with just kind of the, with the ELA students, it's a very respectable 58.4% for all students, but that's not their 90% that they're saying. And so I'm torn, because it seems like they are doing good work, but they're not meeting their own expectations. And so I'm a little torn about if they need to be held to the highest possible standard because they exist to be better than everything else, because they exist because they're claiming there is a lack of this available in regular schools and that you are not meeting this need, so we have to come in and do it, then they should be meeting their own goals, and that they should be held to that highest possible standard, because that's why they exist. So I see, and I'm willing to look at this. I'm seeing, their math is currently at 46.8%, which again that is not a bad score, but it's nowhere near the 90% that they're setting for themselves. And if they're really going to be a school that goes above and beyond and is giving the community more than what they could get at their zone school, then they need to meet their own standards. So I think in the future, if we could kind of go back to what they set as their goals for future groups, and then kind of have that comparative analysis to see, did they meet that? Are they doing what they promised us they would do over the last 10 years? Because that's going to give us a big, view into whether or not what they're going to do for the next 10 years.
Dr.
Yeah, so I have a question. To Ms. Tyler's point, is that part of, is through your review process, is that something you look at
So the review team looked at a variety of data as it relates to the charter term. Specifics from the original application, some were included within the renewal, but a comparison of this is what they said in the original versus now. The review team didn't line by line go through the original application. They utilized supporting documents over the 10-year charter term, mainly the academic performance framework, 10 Ready TVOS data, on-site feedback visits from the charter office, as well as the charter school annual report that is submitted each year to the state. So there were a variety of documents that were utilized in conjunction with the actual renewal application. But I do think that is a good point to just start off, and I will verify with State Board policy to make sure that we're in compliance with utilizing the goals that were set in the original application as part of the review and rating in the renewal application, because we do want to make sure that we're in compliance with the standards that State Board has set.
Okay, thank you.
I was going to say, y'all are a compliance-driven office, and that information, though I agree, would be so helpful, particularly because it is what we have asked for as a school system. It's not what the state has asked for. And so what we have in front of us is what the state asks for, though as we have all, many of us have said, I will not say all, but many of us have said on the board floor that we wish there was more information provided or asked for by the state, or that the state had an interest in, if you will. I echo that request of making sure that they're meeting their original goals. It does seem not to be good practice to renew somebody that is not meeting their goals that they have set for themselves and had a decade to complete and not done so. Again, that's also true to our want for charter schools to meet special needs within our schools that we cannot do ourselves. It is concerning to me that Purpose Prep, as well as the last school we just discussed, also has really different demographics than our surrounding schools and MNPS in general. So only 26% of their students are economically disadvantaged, only 7% are students with disabilities, and only 4% are LEP students. And all of those numbers have sharply decreased since 2020. So that is concerning to me, that they have seemingly maybe a more elite group of students at their school, and we're still not meeting those original goals. And again, we're doing a 10-year contract, which will be $66 million, and I want to make sure that we're doing that appropriately. So those are my concerns with Purpose Prep. Any further discussion? Okay. We have a motion to approve, and it's been seconded. If you, were you raising your hand?
I don't think the numbers that you just recited don't jive with my understanding of.
It is from our open portal, and they were checked from today.
Yeah, okay. I'm surprised.
No, I made sure to check them this morning, so they were as updated as possible. So that's where I got that from. Okay. So we have a motion, and it's been seconded for approval. All those in favor of approval, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Those not in for approval, for denial. All right, any abstentions? Okay, there's 3 of us. Thank you so much. All right. We will move on to KIPP Nashville College Prep.
Our next renewal application is KIPP Nashville College Prep Middle School, a 5-8 charter school with an enrollment cap of 350 students located in the northwest area of Davidson County. I will highlight a few of the review team's evidence findings listed within the board report and included on the chart. In academic success, the school reported structures for providing and supporting teachers with professional development and learning. In addition, the school reported evidence that demonstrated academic achievement and growth results over the current charter terms. However, the application lacked evidence to highlight how students with IEPs are receiving intervention services. In operational stability, the school reported that their enrollment targets were met based on the charter renewal application data. In addition, the school reported a charter board with experience and a robust leadership team spanning 18 years. However, there was a lack of evidence provided to better understand the disproportionality risk ratio of students with a disability as it relates to out-of-school suspensions. In financial health, the school's academic performance framework for the category of financial and operational exceeded meeting the standards from years 2013 to 2019. Additionally, the school reported audits with no findings, including for the most recent fiscal year 21 audit. In future planning, there are planned renovation projects that include interior projects and exterior renovations with a focus on modernizing the facility. In addition, the achievement goals reported were high, with 80% of students meeting growth targets in math or moving up one proficiency band in 10 Ready. After a thorough review of the renewal application, the review team rated the overall ratings for KIPP Nashville College Prep Middle School renewal application as follows: meets or exceeds standard in academic success, meets or exceeds standard in operational stability, meets or exceeds standard in financial health, and meets or exceeds standard in future planning. I will turn it over to the board for the discussion and vote for the renewal application for KIPP Nashville College Prep Middle School.
Thank you so much. Do we have a motion? Dr. Gentry, and seconded. All right, discussion?
I'll be honest, now I'm interested in hearing what everyone's free or reduced lunch percentages are to make sure that I'm not making any assumptions.
For KIPP Nashville, I have their ED number as 44%, which is pretty good. Students with disabilities is 15%. Their LEP is only 13%, which is language English proficiency for those that are listening. Their economically disadvantaged number has had a sharp decrease since 2020. Again, all of these are available on our open data portal, which everybody can easily get to. LEP has decreased since 1920, and their SWD has decreased a lot since 2020 as well.
May I ask a question? On the open data portal, where does that data come from? So that everyone is clear, who uploads that data? Where is that for those numbers? Yes.
It comes from our official student management system.
Okay. So this is official and updated and correct information. Gotcha.
And it's not just for charter schools, it is for all schools.
Okay.
And all grade bands.
Thank you.
Any additional discussion?
On approval?
Excuse me?
Discussion on.
Yeah, the motion was to approve, and it's been seconded. So is there any other discussion about
Whether you want to approve or deny.
You're going to say whether you want to approve or deny, it's still your discussion, so.
Okay. So this is my third charter school that I'm looking at, and we still have the same concern here about differentiation and providing support for students, and ensuring that we have a plan in place that targets that prior to our 10-year renewal process. In 10 years, I feel, as a former teacher and principal, that this should be documented. The fact that we don't have this documented is a concern for me. And coming up for a 10-year renewal, how do we ensure that students who fit those subgroups are being supported in a way that really allows them to excel in learning? And so I would like to see if we can somehow have a discussion on adjusting or fixing this so that we are looking at this to ensure that these protocols and these steps are in place. It seems to be now in my third charter school review, a consistent problem that's being shown. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Go right ahead.
I was just going to ask, Dr. Severe, if you don't mind me overstepping, Chair Elrod, just to make sure, if you don't mind, could someone be capturing these just to make sure that when we do have this retreat, we can come back to it and make sure, because again, we started talking about this a couple of years ago, I think, and we never quite followed up to make sure that we're going to have either incremental check-ins or another review or update with the charter office. But again, I know that comes with your blessing, Dr. Battle. So I just think I think we need to get started on that now before the next round of applications come forward. And even if it's not what the state is is asking us to look at, we can begin, I guess, the probing process.
Yeah, I think as Director Robert Grant mentioned, we'll take all of the feedback around the interest in data. Thank you, Chief Perry, that we're hearing from the board, and we've got to kind of align that to state board policy as well. Many of the questions that you're asking are relevant, timely to the conversation, but there are very prescriptive ways in which the team has to go about the review process as well, but it is always helpful to get your feedback so that we can also advocate for what our board needs to make the most informed decision.
Ms. Tyler?
Just the same. I would just love to see whether or not people are meeting their promises. Because if they're not going above and beyond, then what are we doing? With KIPP, their 3 to 5, 3rd to 5th grade ELA score for all students is 19.8%. 6th through 8th is 29.2. Their 3 to 5 ELA is 9.2. Oh, no, sorry, math is 9.2. And I was just looking at their 6th through 8th is 22. So again, just beating that drum of if these are exceptional schools that are expected to give us exceptional results, we need to see it. It's the raw data from TVOS.
Oh, gotcha.
Will you please say that louder so people know
Oh,
where you're
sorry. Yeah,
receiving
no,
that
I'm
data?
looking at the raw data from the Tennessee State website about TVOS scores, and it's got every single school that took the test in every single county. It's very long and convoluted, and kind of a little bit difficult to go through, but it's available on the Tennessee State website. Anybody can access it.
And just so for clarity, you're looking at the achievement success scores?
Yes, those are the success, yeah. So like 9.2% achieved success.
I guess along with that, I will beat my drum too, I guess, as you said. We have, again, we're not meeting the goals of exceptional, which is my concern for what we're supposed to be providing, not only to our students, but also fiscally and within our strategic plan. So that is a concern to me. I've already given the data that I found through the open access portal, and for 10 years, it's 51.6 million for the school. Again, so for anybody that's paying attention, the state has prescribed kind of what we're allowed to or supposed to discuss here, which is why some of this additional information is provided during discussion, and it's not a reflection of our charter office not providing it. That's not something that's typically included, but it is upon our elected responsibilities of what we're supposed to be looking for in our advocacy of MNPS and, of course, our strategic dollars. So I don't want it to reflect poorly on your office or in any way when we're providing that, so people know why it's being provided as basically a vocal addendum and not something in there. So that's it.
Yeah, and I was just going to add for the open portal data, for the most recent upload that's on there aligns to the 10 ready conversation, because we'll be looking at last year's cohort of students. That information could have slightly changed this current school year, but it does reflect the students who are tested with regards to current performance and growth scores that have been discussed on the board floor. Just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you. Okay.
I have one question.
Yes.
So I'm just curious about just one question. On the application, it says that under future planning, continue diversifying its organization in response to student and community needs. What does that mean?
For
Nashville, we're talking about Nashville class?
We haven't gotten
College
to
prep.
them yet.
You've moved forward.
Oops, sorry.
Scroll too far.
Yes.
I scrolled too far.
Okay. We have a motion from Dr. Gentry, and it's been seconded for.
Oh, I have one question then, because I scrolled too far. Excuse me. There's also a concern on, we're KIPP Nashville, right?
Yes.
I got the right school now. Here we go. Sorry, y'all. There was lack of evidence provided to better understand the disproportionality risk ratio of students with disability and their out-of-school suspension. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So the disproportionality risk ratio is a certain percentage that schools can be tagged and receive from the state if you are suspending students with disabilities at a sort of exceptional rate. And so there was a lack of evidence that actually provided that data, because we have had some charter schools in the past that were tagged with that identification from the state. And so I think the review team wanted to see the actual percentages of students with disabilities as it relates to out-of-school suspension. A lot of times when schools report their data, they only include like the overall percentage of students that have received OSS. And the review team just wanted to see a breakdown of what the rate was with students with disabilities.
Did you ever get that information?
We did not, because there was a lack of evidence of that. But that is something that's noted for our office, and when we follow up with our on-site visits, we will have them report that data.
So I didn't notice this in the other applications. So does that mean other schools reported that data and you just didn't get it from KIPP Nashville?
I would need to verify those applications to make sure. We just take the findings from the review team members. If that was a finding, a evidence finding, we note that within our actual reporting. So it's not, it may have been in others and it may not have been in others and it was not reported, or it was not a concern of other review members.
So looking at what I hear you saying is looking at the raw data can drive you to additional questions. So if you don't have a high discipline rate or exclusionary practice rate, then it wouldn't lead you to a student group drill down, right, necessarily. But when you see a certain rate of suspension or exclusionary practices, it will lead you to the breakdown of who does that number represent, if that makes sense. So if I can give an example, in some of our district-run schools, you have 0% or you have 1 or 2%. And so that question may not necessarily be there, but if you see 15%, then we got to dig deeper to see who does that represent within the school. And so that's why you might see a variation or hesitation in confirming that it was specifically noted in every single application.
As a follow-up, can we get that data?
Yes.
Thank you.
So
Absolutely.
the charter's office is charged with, given the findings from this review, to follow up in the areas where we might have seen a lack of evidence or deficiencies, given the specific rubric that they're charged with utilizing.
Thank you. So Dr. Battle, once that follow-up, that charge happens, can we just kind of get feedback on it later about what we found specifically with this?
I mean, I don't see why not. Again, I think some of the questions that are being posed tonight, the team will have to go back and look at timelines and review. I mean, you're getting ready to have a whole nother set of schools in review, and so we've got to figure out timing-wise when those school visits happen and how we can most efficiently update the board. But I mean, definitely the question that you're asking, the feedback you're providing tonight, the team will take and create a system by which we can keep you updated along the way.
Thank you.
Chair Everett.
Oh, yes, Ms. Bugs.
I will just say I do appreciate that we're having a deep dive conversation. We're actually talking about data for one of the first times ever. We're having a great conversation about what these renewals mean for our students, our families, and our entire school system. I also appreciate that these conversations will likely or will prayerfully be heard by the Charter Commission, because that Charter Review Commission sometimes has a misunderstanding about our school system and why we vote the way that we do and what we're looking to consider when we talk about either renewals or new schools. I'm of the mindset that, if students and families are choosing a school that's doing well and that they appreciate, I don't want to take a school from them. I do not believe we need any more, but the ones that are there, as long as families are happy, I just know what it felt like at Neely's Bend when our school was taken over and families felt displaced. And so I just don't want that to happen, but I appreciate us continuing to push on these questions and just kind of see how we can better support and better collaborate.
Okay. We have a motion, and it's been seconded. The motion was from Dr. Gentry for approval, and it's been seconded. Please raise your hand in the affirmative for approval. 1, 2, 3, 6. Do we have any that are not for approval? Raise your hand for that. Any abstentions? Okay. Thank you. Looks like we are moving on to our last one, Nashville Classical.
We have reached our last renewal application. We will now review the renewal application for Nashville Classical, a K-8 charter school with an enrollment cap of 552 students located in the northeast area of Davidson County. I will highlight a few of the review team's evidence findings listed within the board report and included on the chart. In academic success, the school reported that positive academic achievement and growth results as measured by state assessments and Tennessee Value-Added Assessment System. In addition, the school reported school-wide professional development was provided consistently with all staff throughout the year. Lastly, the review team noted that Nashville Classical should consider a skill gap goal as it is more sensitive to student development, where the school can see skill area growth towards standards mastery. In operational stability, the school reported that student enrollment for their charter term has remained consistent and stable. In addition, the school reported that the attrition rate was noted less than 2%. Lastly, the school reported an increased daily attendance rate was attributed to the hiring of an assistant principal of culture. In financial health, the school reported multi-year financial audits with no findings. Additionally, the school reported that generally accepted accounting principles were followed in their accounting procedures. In future planning, plans were indicated to grow impact by serving students, increase impact by increasing achievement, and leveraging impact by proving diverse schools are possible. In addition, Nashville Classical plans to continue to diversify its organization in response to student and community needs. After a thorough review of the renewal application, the review team rated the overall ratings for Nashville Classical renewal application as follows: meets or exceeds standard in academic success, meets or exceeds standard in operational stability, meets or exceeds standard in financial health, and meets or exceeds standard in future planning. I will turn it over to the board for the discussion and vote for the renewal application for Nashville Classical.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Ms. Masters?
Thank you. So with redistricting, Nashville Classical now falls within the boundaries of District 3. And I think I mentioned at the last meeting that I had a lovely visit there at one of their morning community meetings. It had been a few years since I've been over there, and I appreciated that opportunity to see what's going on there. In speaking with the school founder and director, Charlie Freeman, I suggested that at our last meeting, rather than encouraging families to come out in the evening to speak to us through public comment, that he instead put together a short statement that I would read from the board floor on his behalf to be sure that their voices were heard in this process and that they didn't have to come out after dark on a school night to speak to us. So I'm going to read that now. Again, this is from Charlie Friedman, the founder and director of Nashville Classical. 10 years ago, the MNPS Board of Education unanimously approved Nashville Classical. Since 2013, the school has grown from 89 kindergartners and a tiny 4-room schoolhouse to 525 K through 8 students who learn and play in East Nashville's historic Bailey Middle School facility. Nashville Classical's leaders know that charter schools are not a silver bullet, and renewal decisions should be made carefully. While the school is far from perfect, renewal is in the best interest of our district students and families. As you know, Metro Nashville Public Schools showed significant academic improvement in the 21-22 school year, and Nashville Classical's diverse community was a critical part of these achievements. For example, the school's TVOS growth ranked in the state's 93rd percentile in reading and 98th in math. The proficiency rate outscored the state average by 15 points. Through charter renewal, MNPS can work with Nashville Classical to build on these achievements by providing meaningful oversight of the school and continuing to partner with their students and families. For Nashville Classical's families, charter renewal means a chance to remain part of MNPS. Families come to Nashville Classical from 26 zip codes, but they all apply through MNPS lotteries. Many come from MNPS pre-K, elementary, and middle schools, and many leave for MNPS elementary, middle, and high schools. Nashville Classical families have children in MNPS schools and across our district. By renewing their charters, students' enrollment, IEPs, and academic data remain part of one district, which is crucial for everyone's continued success. Again, those are the words of the school founder, Charlie Friedman. As you all know, as anyone who's ever listened to me talk about charter schools knows, I believe that they do need to not only meet but exceed the standards that we set for ourselves here in Metro Nashville Public Schools. They need to provide a replicable model for the entire district, and they need to exist within our district as a part of our overall system and be collaborative and community-oriented in order to reach what I consider the barometer for us including them as a part of our MNPS system. Since Nashville Classical is the only school up for renewal tonight that exceeded the overall MNPS standard on the 2021 Tennessee State Report Card, they are the only charter school that I will be voting to renew this evening. We're at 27.4.
Any additional comments? Ms. Tyler?
So in Nashville Classical's original application, one of their top priorities is to serve more disadvantaged students. Can you give me the percentage of disadvantaged students that they serve currently?
I'm so sorry, will you?
Sorry, yeah, I just said Nashville Classical's original application, one of their top priorities is to serve more disadvantaged students. And can you give me the percentage of disadvantaged students they currently serve?
Yes, I can. Thank you so much. I apologize. I have that they have 32% of economically disadvantaged. That's been increasingly decreasing.
Yeah, last year it was 34.3.
Since school year 18-19. Do you want the other numbers or just economically
I
disadvantaged?
mean, if you want to hit me with them.
Okay. LEP is 6%.
Okay.
That is also on a decline, and 13% for SWP.
I've really struggled with this one because, like Board Member Masters said, it is meeting the academic needs of the students in a way that the other charters had not. And yet I am concerned that as their numbers of who they claim they want to serve continue to decrease, that their school could end up being basically a state-funded private school. And I don't want it to end up to be that kind of feeling like we're actually not looking for the students that we claim we want to serve. And I have a real concern about charters in general doing that the attempt is to cultivate a community that is very handpicked and very curated and very pruned when necessary. And that's not something any zone school is allowed to do. And so their scores are good. It seems that their students are happy there. I can't vote. I do not feel like I can vote to close them if I'm going to stay true to my own designations for what I did for the other three, because they are meeting those needs. However, I do have a giant concern that they're moving toward, in order to continue to meet those high numbers, that they're trying to pull in students who don't have as much of a need. As we've seen that their scores continue to decline, not scores, their enrollment of students that they claim to want to serve continues to decline. I have a lot of concern that they're not looking to help the students they claim, but they're looking to do whatever they can to pad their scores. That may not be something that is what is actually happening, but that is my fear based on what I see. So because of that, like I said, I cannot vote to close them because they're meeting those needs, and I don't want to take it away from the school, but I also cannot vote for them, so I will have to abstain from this one.
Okay. Do you have a comment?
Yeah, I just want some clarification here. Can you read those percentages out for demographics again?
I have 32% economically disadvantaged, 6% LEP, 13% students with disabilities.
Okay. My question to follow up with that is, what do the schools surrounding that particular school look like?
I have what we have as MNPS as a whole, but I do not have for their surrounding areas.
Okay. So that's what I would like to see, the demographics of schools surrounding Nashville Classical. Is it reflective of those schools surrounding, as well as what the demographics for our entire district looks like in that area?
May I say something to that?
Do we have any, one second, let's go through does anybody else have any comments before we go our second round? Ms. Tyler?
Yes, I just wanted to say, if we're looking at trends and we're looking at surrounding schools, they had gone over our head to open up a second school in District 9, where none of the schools surrounding it are in need of the type of help they're claiming to give. And that's another reason why I am concerned that they're not looking to actually help those students that they claim to help, the economically disadvantaged students, but that they're just looking to find students who will give them good scores and whose families will be very supportive and involved, and that they can pick and choose as they want. And that is, again, a larger one, but the fact that we're seeing that they're choosing to move into an area that does not have desperate need makes me think that they're leaning towards I would love to just be subsidized to be another school in this area and not be one that serves specific groups of students.
Any additional? Within their application for Nashville Classical 2, they were forthcoming with us, which we appreciated, in telling us that they are wanting to expand. And so we have, of course, discussed that school at detail, but they have been upfront with us about their desire to expand, and that's likely because of how they are proud of how they have exceeded those scores. I, being consistent, am concerned particularly about their LEP numbers and how that's decreased. Also, students with disabilities, there's been a steady decrease in that percentage since 2016, 2017, which is their highest year of enrollment. So I'm a little concerned about that. I additionally am concerned about how there's been some ongoing concerns with their school, with the building, and working with the state on accessing that. Nashville Classical, I appreciate you reading their statement. I think that's very helpful, and I appreciate your building a relationship there and having that for us. I think that's a really good option for us to do as colleagues. And again, I have some concerns about how their students look very different than the remainder of our students, and that it's for 10 years within that. And we're not exceptional, but we are definitely at meets. So those are my concerns. Are there any others? Or any other discussion? Okay. We have a motion for approval from, oh, did you have another comment?
Yeah, so
Oh, excuse me.
we were able to pull up some data, and surrounding schools would be Stratford, and they're 55% economically disadvantaged, and that's both their upper and lower schools, compared to, what was that percentage again? 32%. So so that concern of seeing a decline in the amount of economically disadvantaged compared to their surrounding schools is a legitimate concern, and something that we really need to kind of be reflective of as we continue to look at that, and compare scores from a school that's 55% economically disadvantaged and a school that's 32%.
Again, so people know that is not within the state rubric of information that we are to provide. So I appreciate you looking that up and providing that to us, so that it's something that we can discuss as it behooves us as part of our responsibilities. All right. Berthina, Dr. Nama McKinney, has a motion to approve, and it's been seconded by Ms. Buggs. All those in favor of approval, please raise your hand. 7. Any denials? I guess that'll just be me. And abstain. All right. That is Ms. Tyler. Thank you so much. Thank you for all this information and providing it to us. Anything additional? Okay. All right. Let me get back to our agenda. Thank you so much for being here this evening through the renewal conversation. That brings us now to our announcements. We will go in district order. So, no Dr. Gentry. So we will move on from 1 to 2 to 3.
District 3 announcements.
All right. Is that
No.
the announcement? Okay.
Wasn't ready. Just happy Thanksgiving, and everybody have a great 5 days with family and friends and food. Enjoy.
Thank you. District 4.
I just want to thank Dr. Battle and her team and all of the schools within MNPS who participated in the Parade of Schools. It looked like it was a really great event. Unfortunately, I was not able to be there because we also had schools performing in the Beta Club National Convention, my son being one of them, so I had to be a parent this weekend. And
how did he do?
Huh?
And how did he do?
And he got first place in his category. So really excited about the competition there. His school did really well as a lot of the schools within Metro Nashville. And so I also want to thank those schools who participated in the Beta Club National Tournament as well, and their participation and doing well. I hosted my community meeting this past Thursday. We had a great attendance at that community meeting. We will do monthly meetings the third Thursday of every month. So our next community meeting coming up is Thursday, December the 15th, from 6 to 7:30 at the Hermitage Community Center. Again, that is Thursday, December 15th, from 6 to 7:30 at the Hermitage Community Center. All parents, community members are welcome to attend. It's open door, great discussion. Please come out. Also want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. I'm super excited. All of my kids are back in town, so I get to hang out with them for the next few days, and really glad to have them home. So hope you have a great time with family and loved ones, and really think about how the things that we always think about the negative things in life. Let's think about the things that we can be grateful for that we have. And so hope you all have a great holiday weekend, and see you next time.
District 5 checking in. I want to thank the members of My Brother's Keeper and the leaders of the Rise, Read, and Lead initiative. It started out as Fatherhood Friday, and I appreciate that men of color specifically, but men across Nashville, are really coming together to make sure support students, especially in that elementary and middle school tier, but they're creeping up to the high school students. They taught students at, I believe it was Pearl-Cone and at least one other school last year, that they taught how to tie ties. There's just so many things that they're pouring into these babies. They do restorative circles, they read to them, they have students read to them. It's just really phenomenal. So shout out to Ashford Hughes and Juvenile Court Clerk Lionel Matthews for their leadership there. I want to again welcome Dr. Robert Wallace, who is Mayor Cooper's Education Director.
Sorry.
I'm working on your official title, but thank you. Welcome. Well, you've always been a Nashvilleian, but welcome to Senior Advisor Education. He makes education.
We'll get it right.
He really is a phenomenal professional to add to our team, our cohort of education leaders across the city that's trying to make sure that we lobby for all the resources at the city and state level, but also come together a bit more to collaborate for our students. And lastly, my school that I will crawl on a bed of nails for, Jones Padea Elementary School. We started tutoring 2 Saturdays ago, so I had to miss some of the parade, but it was so worth it to see those babies and those community partners who came out to sit with students, many one-on-one, some in groups of 3, to just review ELA material, numeracy material for our 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. If you're interested and you have an hour, maybe 2 on a Saturday, and you would be willing to work with us through December, and then of course again next semester, we would love to have you. It really is, that 3rd grade ELA stumped me. The inferences and the having to read past, it was a great review and something that I think the entire community could benefit from and would really appreciate. So please consider tutoring at one of our schools, if not at Jones, through Pencil. Thank you.
District 6.
Yes, absolutely. And let me just take this moment to say that I am a proud Antioch Bear mom, and I'm super excited that Dr. Wallace is an Antioch Bear. So thank you for being here tonight. Just a few quick announcements. Our last community meeting in District 6 was centered around an equity discussion. Our next community meeting on December 13th, we will continue that discussion, and Mr. Ashford Hughes has agreed to come to our meeting and talk to our parents. It was a really robust and rich discussion, so I hope that you will be able to attend. December 13th from 6:30 to 7:30 at the Southeast Branch Library in the large community room. Also, I want to give a shout out, and I have a prop, to our Cane Ridge football team for you did to the quarterfinals. You didn't get all the way, but you did a fantastic job. So thanks, Cane Ridge football, for all that you accomplished this year. I'm very proud of you. And again, a huge shout out to our Antioch High School team for their wonderful sportsmanship award this evening. And also, just so everyone is aware, we are coming up in January on our National MLK Day. I chair that planning committee, and you are all invited to participate in the week of events leading up to Convocation. We will be back in person in 2023, and specifically for our young people, our youth symposium will be on January 14th at the Scarrett Bennett Center from 9 a.m. to 1:30. I encourage you to come out. We've got a lot of amazing events planned for the young people in Nashville. If you are interested in participating in any of our events, please go to our website. It's mlkdaynashville.com. You'll find all the information there, or you can just hit me up, and I'll be more than happy to invite you. All of my board colleagues, you are most welcome to attend and join and participate. We would love to have you. I'm sure our kids would love to see you there as well. So I tried to write down all my announcements really quickly here. Celebration of Schools, Dr. Battle, was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. And I can tell you, in talking to several of the folks that were there, they can't wait till next year. Neither can I. So it was phenomenal. And thanks to everyone who had a part in putting that together. That was no easy feat. So thank you very much for that. And that concludes my... Oh, wait, one final thing. A shout out to Pearl Cone's choir for participating as in our upcoming MLK Day event. So you have to come out and see them perform. They will be performing at Convocation. Super excited about that. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. District 7.
I didn't say this during the charter review point because it wasn't germane to the topic of renewal of charters. But I do want to put, as we renew this charter process, and I know all the charter leaders are not here, so I'm putting this for the video record, that you're really intentional about when we use the word partnership with district schools and how that is. I've had a personal frustration that the partnership sentiment and name was only called when it benefit the charter schools. And the district pursued an initiative or had an event or had a policy that was only germane and implemented for ours. And then when that was participated, it was called there should be a partnership with MNPS. But that partnership was never given when we had to make tough decisions, as in consolidating schools, closing schools, whether it is taking in our students, our teachers, or even when we had a bus shortage, offering subs, or things like that. And I want this to be an ecosystem of education where we're educating all children, no matter where they are and what they're doing. However, one of my biggest concerns is that are we truly educating our parents on the civics of a charter schools, their operation, what we can do, when we can participate, when we can invoke our policies, our issues, and when we can't. Some things we cannot do legally because we do not oversee the day-to-day management of a charter school. And there's some things they are, and that's what their boards are for. The board of a charter school is not with us. We're just the LEA. We just make approvals. We are a pass-through for finances, and we do oversight. And there's been times when I've talked to in town hall meetings with parents of charter schools, assuming we are their fiduciary responsibility for their academics and for their operations when we are not. And that was given by some of the charter leaders. And I'm not talking Pacific, I want to be very clear. Not the ones that we approve, but as we're going through this calendar of years of doing all charters, not just the one today, that we are very intentional about that and what that communication sends to us as a district, but then also what it looks like. We're all here to make Nashville kids educated. We all have different views and different views and policies of what that look like, different opinions. But we want to make sure that when someone says Nashville education system, that it's not a us versus them opportunity, and that we're very thoughtful. So I just want to continue that conversation, but I really want to put that out there because that's been a personal frustration of mine. There's been assumptions that we as a district are responsible for very specific things that happen at very specific charter schools when it wasn't our fiduciary responsibility or legal responsibility or had the legal permission to do so. And so I want to be very clear about that. I think it's a complex conversation that we just can't have in silos. But I just really want to put that out there as we go through this process, as we renew schools, our relationship with charters and district, that it really has to be a semiotic relationship with each other as we do the whole ecosystem of the education process. So I just want to put that soapbox moment out there. I want to thank the Titans for their investment, for especially their capital investment. As you know, it gets a complicated aspect when it comes to investments into our schools, particularly physical investments, and that really do mean a lot to our students. As a former student athlete, to have an environment where you're proud of your home field advantage, you have home field advantage, that means a lot to the community, and knowing that there's a public-private community entity that's willing to invest in our children, that see that they are important to our community. So thank you to Dr. Battle for shepherding, and her team for shepherding through that process. And I would like to brag on the Celebration of Schools that my cluster, Glen Cliff, had the only mariachi band in the whole parade. So unique. We're very fun. So I just want to say proud of that, of them proudly displaying their culture with that. And so happy Thanksgiving.
District 8?
I just want to echo everything everyone said about the celebration of schools, which was such a, to be able to sort of march in the parade and with students and teachers and educators I knew, and then see every school, sort of come by and people dancing and singing. It was really, it felt great to be a member of the school system and a parent in the school system. And so thank you to everyone who put that on. I just, a quick shout out to JT Moore. Yesterday I was there for, they packed 100,000 meals for an organization called Rise Against Hunger. And so literally taking like rice, soy, dried vegetables, and then closing. So you had all of this. I was there for the 6th grade portion of this. You had every 6th grader in the school, in the gym, packing these food bags for 2 hours. They packed 30,000 food bags, the 6th graders, in 2 hours. They did spill a little bit of food on the floor, and I spent a lot of time cleaning that up. That's okay, because the vast majority of the food got in the bags and is being shipped to various places. And it was just, to know that our kids, part of that was around IB hours. It's an International Baccalaureate school, IB hours for students, but ahead of a holiday in which we all consume a lot, being conscious of folks who don't have as much, and knowing that our kids were eager to do it and really excited to ring the gong every time they got another 1,000 meals packed. It was fantastic. So thank you to the educators at JT Moore who made that possible, and to the students who were super into it. And so should anybody be interested in the future, the organization brings everything to you to do all the work, and it was really fantastic. Happy Thanksgiving.
District 9?
Also want to say happy Thanksgiving, and in the spirit of thanks, I just want to say thank you for the parade that we had last Saturday. It was really fun. I had the pleasure of marching with my fellow board members that were able to attend, and Dr. Battle at the beginning, and then I ran to the back and got to march with every single one of my schools, and I loved it. It was so nice to see people come out, especially from the other side of town, come all the way out and spend their morning celebrating the school that their children attend because they love it so much. So I was really proud of my schools and excited to see them there. And I guess just one other thing I'm thankful of that just happened is our H.G. Hill Middle School was able to, through the Community Achieves program, was able to work with Oasis and YMCA's Widjewatchin Camp to give team building field day trips to every grade level to really help those students coalesce as feeling more like a team and that they care about each other. And it was each day that they were able to be out there was really special and meant a lot to those students and to the teachers that were able to go too. So Community Achieves programs are amazing. I'm very thankful for them. I'm thankful for Ms. Maggie Dix at H.G. Hill, and I look forward to seeing what other kind of partnerships we have on the future.
Thanks. School board member, junior member.
I just want to say, firstly, you guys are really making me wish I'd gone to that parade. It sounds like so much fun. But I happened to be taking place that I was at a walk for gun violence awareness, but the walk past the stadium. So I got to see some stuff, and it looked really fun. So I love that we got to do that. So let's do it again next year so I can go. Also, and I talked to Dr. Battle about this, it's really exciting, the partnership with the Titans and being able to have, like Ms. Play said, that home field advantage. And when you're going out to other schools and you see, these great facilities, it's like, man, like, do people really care about us like that? And so having that shown, and for us as students to be able to see that people care and people support us and people want to invest in us and our future, that really means a lot. So from MNPS students, thank you. And then lastly, happy Thanksgiving. Relax, get some rest, students catch up on work, and yeah.
Thank you. I first want to make sure that we have a quick review over TSBA, and by quick, I mean very quick. So there was the annual convention for TSBA last week. It was over the weekend. I very much appreciate my colleagues, Ms. O'Hara Block, Dr. Nava McKinney, and Ms. Tyler for being there. There was some great communications that we had with other boards. If there are materials that you're looking for or anything along those lines, we will have those inside the board room as a resource to you. We all went to different breakout classes, so it'd be that about textbooks and the textbook commission to SROs or some legal questions or buses. We all went to different breakout sessions, so we can provide that information to you. And I look forward to us providing some more interaction with TSBA so that we can have more influence there, along with our delegation votes for the resolutions that they support. I will be sending in an email on Friday, more detailed summary on some of those resolutions, and the two that I voted as our delegation against. And so you have that information in advance. Let's see. This week was the first Special Olympics event since COVID times, post-COVID. So it was a bowling tournament at Tusculum Strike and Spare, and it was with our SO-NASH partnership. It was really great. There was a great turnout from Croft, from Granbury, from Rosebank, and several other schools, of course. Students were really excited to be together, and it was great practice, of course, for social and sensory skills as well. So thank you, and we're really excited to have those experiences back. Additionally, on the sports conversation, though it is a holiday weekend for so many of us, on Friday there is still the TSSAA football semifinals for East in Covington, Tennessee, and Pearl Cone is going to be at Haywood in Brownsville, Tennessee. So we are still active and busy, and of course there's also, I shouldn't say of course, but there is also basketball on Friday and Saturday at several schools. For the board as well, we have a retreat next Wednesday at 11:30. It's going to be across the parking lot. If anybody from the public would like to attend, you're welcome to. It's from 9 to 2 at the Wellness Center. We will be discussing some upcoming budget conversations, director's report, setting some board norms and some other things. And lastly, for myself and for District 2 specific, we had Granbury's Cultural Potluck was last night. There was a huge turnout and so much great food. I wish I would have gotten to eat it, but I was in charge of trying to get rid of the lost and found items. Low percentage of take, but I tried hard. So if you have lost an item, it's probably been found at Granbury. So it's there. And then also on December 10th, I'll be having my weekend office hours from 8 to 10 a.m. at the Starbucks at the corner of Nolansville and OHB. See, there being no further business, I appreciate everybody being here right before the holidays, and I hope you enjoy it. Thanks.
Pleasure, ladies.
Oh, yes.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.